everyone, the unbelievable has happened. Insert your name here, Racing Bulls, insert your name here, this is a cool spot, has indeed been inserted. I am choosing to immortalize it in the most capitalistic way possible. Now this is a cool shirt, and it could be yours by going to the link in the pinned comment. Okay, Law, what is going to be the brand new name of Alphatauri? Have we finally had confirmation? Well, we've had some certain illusions to the idea, courtesy of the likes of Your Lamp USA on Reddit and F1 Guy Dan on Twitter. And all of this has got to do with the exciting world of domain name registration. When you type in racingbulls.com into your browser, you go somewhere else, to the new name of what Racing Bulls is going to be, with the contact info being confirmed that of Red Bull's parent company and based in Salzburg, which is effectively Red Bull's European home. Sure enough, what was once discussed back in November in the wake of Hugo Boss and Adidas no longer being the main plums to be the new name of Racing Bulls, and us thankfully no longer having the rumoured name of Hugo Boss Bulls Racing, try say that 5 times fast, we had some musings for the likes of the brand new CEO of Alphatauri, Peter Bayer, that they had also been in talks as secondary sponsors with the likes of Visa and Cash App, both big fintech companies, and that seems to have escalated to the point where these two companies might be the main parties of this second team of Red Bull, to indeed insert their name into this very cool spot. But it sounds odd though, doesn't it? Visa and Cash App? They're not owned by the same company. How on earth did Peter Bayer get these two companies to work together in harmony? Surely they would be baying for blood, or everyone would just be going, "No, I get to be the first sponsor! No, me!" Sorry, that went a little bit extreme there. You get taken to a place called visacashaprb.com/team launch, which means that they might be nearly ready to launch the brand new team identity and merchandise relatively soon. But joke's on you, Racing Bulls, I got to it first. Again, link in the pinned comment. They can't be doing this, right? Because the entry list from last month, they were Scuderia Alphatauri RB there. They can't change that night. It's been confirmed with the entry list. Well, no. That was made out to be a placeholder, but nobody paid it much mind back in the middle of December for the fact that we had more interesting news to come away from that entry list. We didn't even notice the whole Aramco Aston Martin dealie, that changing hands, with Aramco rumouring to have about $75 million a year worth of sponsorship with Aston Martin. That's a whole lot of change and a whole lot of pressure on Lance Stroll, but that's for another video. But no. That was just a temporary placeholder, with Alphatauri no longer being the team name, but now being relegated to a temporary sponsor because, you know, they've been there for the last few years. You may as well just keep them there for the time being until talks are finalised with the sponsorship. And I'm sure the FIA and Formula One have been in discussions with this, and that means they go, yeah, it's fine, just keep the old name for the time being. But now it seems to be very close for us to be calling this brand new team Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. Yeah. Flows right off the tongue, doesn't it? It's going to be carrying and representing probably one of the most interesting head-to-head team battles on the 2024 grid. Who's going to get the second Red Bull seat next to Max Verstappen? Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda, driving the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, to then partner up with Max with Oracle Red Bull Racing. This isn't some kind of oversight or them not thinking this through. This naming scheme is exactly what the CEO Peter Bayer wants. Ahem. The identity will be generic. The identity is what Toro Rosso would have been, and it's moving closer to the Red Bull family again. But then it will appear with the naming rights partners. We will change the company name, we will change identity, logo, everything, a complete relaunch, a complete rebrand. The name of the team, the identity has been decided by the shareholders, and I need to carry it with me without being able to share, which is very difficult. Well, I suppose this is understandable, because this isn't just some podunk sponsor or a sponsor from a very, very shady world of the internet, and it's very, very concerning that it's gaining a bit of a foothold with the likes of, you know, Sauber and Haas. But this is Visa, one of the biggest brands on the planet. They partner up with massive sports organizations, the Olympics, the Paralympics, all kinds of sports. And then there's Cash App, one of the most disruptive brands that is owned by the likes of Square. Peter Bayer has managed to grab them, Red Bull have grabbed them. That is quite a bit of a coup there. Formula One is getting more of what it wants, more American attention. But it's not the kind of American attention that we Formula One fans want. What we want to see are American teams joining the sport. We want to see American drivers participating in Formula One and doing well. Hopefully Logan Sargent will do better at Williams, because that car hopefully will have a bit more downforce, but no. What we are seeing is more American money. Now, okay, it's big money that has a very traceable source because Visa, it is money. It is essentially conventional fintech. But this is just another example of not necessarily the kind of American attention that we want, but it's the American attention that we're going to get. Right off at the back of American Express, now tying themselves up with Formula One, being their official payments partner, whatever that means, and one of the major sponsors of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Them getting to put their precious little name on the very giant sphere that's supposed to have a personality, but we all know it's just a JPEG GIF or something like that of a face. And speaking of faces, not too long from now, I bet you are going to see Daniel Ricciardo being the brand new face of Visa. And I'll prove it to you now with this demo of a future commercial. All right, fellas, Daniel Ricciardo here. It's just a Visa card with Daniel's face on it. That's the joke. But that might not be big enough because Peter Bear, once again, seriously, he can't stop gushing about how many sponsors he's managed to accrue. Visa and Cash App are promising something big with their announcement. Once it's ready to reveal to the world, to the point where nobody would dare expect what they've got cooking. Okay. Alessandro Luni Bravi from Alfa Romeo, now Sauber, now whatever it's going to be called, they promised us the world with their brand new sponsor brand and livery reveal, and we were left sorely disappointed. You're going to have to do a lot, Racing Bulls, to really impress us. All that American money is very good for the health of the second team of Red Bull. Sure, both teams have the same types of shareholders, so in theory it means that the second team won't go bust, but surely it means that what was once Minardi is now in good, safe hands. Whoever's still working at the Faenza factory and hasn't been moved to Milton Keynes, because that's effectively where the majority of operations are going to be held. It's kind of like what Haas has. Canapolis is basically where all the admin takes place. Faenza nowadays is just going to be what Canapolis is to Haas. Barely functional. But what does this mean for the brand itself? What can we expect from a livery? Well, it could be quite juicy, in fact, because we've got the blue of Visa, which is very recognizable. We've got the green of Cash App, which is quite distinctive. But in the world of fashion, blue and green should not be seen without a colour in between. And I hope that Alphatauri, or what was once Alphatauri, would have learnt a few lessons from the fashion industry and hopefully come up with not a clanger with their first livery since they became the fashion outfit. So I could realistically think, based on all of the leaks that we've had, that it's been mostly white and black, that we could get white in between of that. That, in theory, could be really good. In all of the parts where they're allowed to have colour on the car, thanks to the interesting rule quirk of weight saving from 2022. Seriously, I can't wait for these brand new regulations where we can actually have proper paint or vinyl on the car. We don't just have to have clever bits of black put in and going like, oh, look, it's black, it's part of our identity. No, it's not. That's why Mercedes went back to black. It wasn't to relive the days of 2020 and their glory then. No, it was weight saving. Don't think that we didn't notice Mercedes, because there's very clever hints that that's black, that's carbon fiber. If we do get white into the mix with the blue and green, we could see a car that could in theory represent the likes of Sierra Leone, Lesotho, and Djibouti, or many other different places and organizations across the world, including the likes of England's Cumberland. At least the car could look nice. If there's one good thing to have come up with all of these colour changes over the last few years, is that we're finally seeing more green on the grid. Thanks to Aston Martin coming in from 2021, I've been missing green on the grid, considering that at one point, half of the grid could easily claim that blue is their main colour. So whenever we would have the swatches of all the different teams, we would have a blue, a darker blue, a lighter blue, and even lighter blue. One blue that is effectively white. Yeah, it got really complicated. So Formula One got rid of those graphics and now we've just got the team logos. That's far simpler. So we're now getting little bits of green. It just feels right in a way. Maybe that's down to my British bias because of British Racing Green. I apologise, my friends. I am just too British. I'm not exactly sad with this brand new news and the naming of this team being Visa Cash App Racing Bulls team, because we did see this coming for the last few months, and as early as August from the initial rumours with Hugo Boss, but it is a bit of a sad sign that we are seeing more corporate names coming into Formula One and less of the privateer names or the legacy names of the manufacturers being first and foremost. But in a way, aren't most Formula One teams brands? Because Red Bull is a brand, Ferrari's a brand, Mercedes is a brand, McLaren is a brand, Aston Martin is a brand. Practically all of them are brands, except for maybe Williams or something. But it does inject quite a lot of cash into the team, considering that the main Red Bull team pulls in hundreds of millions of dollars from sponsors, and since both teams have the same shareholders, I'm sure that transferring or sharing sponsors and brands isn't exactly hard. And when you think about it, the name Visa Cash App Racing Bulls isn't the weirdest name or the most surreal name that we've ever seen in Formula One. We had a Beatrice Lola for a bit, where Adrian Newey first cut his teeth before Leighton House and Williams. There's of course the infamous Life F1 team, the team who had an engine that was so bad nobody would take it, so they ran it themselves and were minutes behind everybody over the course of one lap. That's why W engines don't work in Formula One. And then of course there's the more recent examples, such as Racing Point and Hispania's truncation of HRT. For many reasons why that is an incredibly weird name, but I won't go into them here. Racing Point in particular, sure, it wasn't a long-lasting name and probably the results of a lack of ideas, but it was a perplexed choice, and when you put it into perspective, it kind of makes the name Racing Bulls sound more coherent and appropriate. At least you know that it's a Red Bull-based team. Okay, one more. Back from the 50s. Aston Butterworth. That being named after the Butterworth 4-flat engine. The Butterworth 4-flat engine is one of the most pinnacled engines in the world of Formula One. And that's not all. Okay. What do all of these name changes tell us, really? Sure, the idea of privateer teams going it alone in Formula One and simply relying on tobacco sponsors, because Marlboro would sponsor any team so long as they just put one logo on their car, they seriously sponsored the majority of the grid at one point, means that we are seeing more companies coming into Formula One and sort of gaining control over the team itself in terms of naming rights, and therefore having a little bit of sway in regards to what goes on with that particular team. The reason why we're seeing Visa and Cash App in particular, these big American companies, is the fact that Daniel Ricciardo is there. And Daniel Ricciardo, he is very sponsor friendly. His cheeky little smile, I would not be surprised if we see something like this, or Visa doing some ads with this guy. It's inevitable. But also, these sponsors are more willing to play along with Formula One in a legitimate manner. These are no longer the days where we get the likes of MasterCard only coming into Formula One in agreements with the likes of Lola in order to hawk some kind of credit card loyalty scheme, and of course dictating that Lola take part in Formula One 1 year too early and effectively ruin Vincenzo Sospiri's Formula One career. Once again, folks, don't blame Lola for sucking that bad, blame MasterCard. No, these days, all of these big sponsors are queuing up to be part of Formula One. They see the value in the sport. And sure, these are American companies, and Formula One is getting what it wants at the expense of Andretti, but this is not the kind of attention that we necessarily want, but it's the attention that we're going to get. So long as it means one team is in rude health, they've got the security, they've got the sponsorship, they've got the money, it means the people, the employees there have got a job and it's secure, then I guess that's not so bad in a way. And Formula One is such a lucrative market to be part of, you get these massive companies joining hand in hand and willingly working together even though they operate in effectively the same sector. That's crazy good cooperation. The real money is coming in from America, with these big financial organizations willingly partnering up with Formula One and sharing the glory and extra attention from the wake of Drive to Survive, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen et al. Yes, the corporate side of the sport is there in sharp relief, but what it tells us is that Formula One is not a dying sport, or that it's on the wane. Yet. No. Big money is giving it the attention that it has been craving for so many years. And most importantly, gives the smaller teams a very big opportunity to get much closer to the likes of Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull. There's tons of investment. Loads of these companies and organizations and capital investment firms are looking to these younger teams, these smaller teams, and finding opportunities to be in there from the ground floor as they ascend the ranks of Formula One, and they can make a nice big return and be part of the glory, giving them the tools, the infrastructure, the facilities, and the investment to do what they need to do to catch up to those teams. Which is something that Gene Haas doesn't really seem to understand at the moment, and why I think Haas is destined to be the backmarkers of Formula One for quite some time, because he didn't get the memo that, hey, you need to sink in some money to this team right now. Jeez, Law, why the hostility toward Gene? Well, I'll tell you all about it right here in this video you can watch right now, because he's seriously super ignorant.